Hello, and welcome to another episode of SAFC Fan TV Extra Time. I swear that intro gets better every time I listen to it. Welcome. Well, joining us on the show tonight, we've got the one and only Mr. Conrad Lee. How are you doing, Conrad?
I'm not bad, mate. Like you said just before we started, I'm very tired. The toddler's learned he can get out of the bed now whenever he wants, so it's been a constant battle for the last few nights. So very, very tired, like I said to you.
Yeah, I think we need to invest in bigger bottles of Calpol. That's
something like that. Yeah, he can have nightcaps and whiskey at this age, can't they? Just to put.
I'm sure it's allowed.
Didn't hurt anybody else back in our day, so.
Also on the show, we've got Mr. Jacob Kirkbride. Jacob, welcome to the show, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Like Conrad, pretty tired myself. In from work.
I've got kids.
Not yet, anyway.
No, that you know of.
Not Conrad, honestly. Nah, not quite ready at that stage, unfortunately yet. But yeah, pretty shattered from work. So yeah, but I'm just looking forward to, as Jack says, just talking about what we love most, and that is Sunderland AFC.
So if I hear you both snoring, I hear you snoring, one of you is a drop.
Conrad.
Yeah, probably me.
So what's the first time we've done one of these for a couple of weeks? We've obviously had the international break and God knows what, but we've got a bit of a poor run of form, haven't we, lately? It's been a bit of a nightmare, but we got back to winning ways on Saturday. So, Conrad, what was your thoughts on Saturday's game?
It was sort of weirdly, I don't want to say anyone was under pressure, but it was a much needed win, even with what happened in the 3 games prior. It was nice to see, even with a refereeing decision, that you could have gone the other way, that we actually still managed to win a game, really. I think there's been one in every of the 4 games that we're probably going to talk about has sort of gone against us, and it just seemed to be quite right that in this one we actually went, doesn't matter, we'll get on with it and we'll get back in. So it was nice to see. I'm sure a Norwich up and around there. I know it's all quite tight. I don't quite know where they are.
No, they're in a dismal run of form, mate. They're on about sacking their manager soon as well.
I did think that, because I thought I think it must have been earlier on in the season they were sort of up with us. But then I saw a guy did a vlog from the Norwich end, and they were all chanting for him to be sacked in the morning. And I was sitting there going, I thought he was doing all right. So that shows how up to date with it I was anyway.
No, they've only won, I think, 2 games in 10 or 11. And had some of their podcasts on before the game on Saturday, and they were all saying that if we didn't beat them on Saturday, then we've got major issues ourselves. So that's how bad they are. And they were predicting a 4-5-1. Because that's typical. You know what will happen? We'll get beat. Typical of us. But once they scored,
it didn't happen that way though, and we sort of managed to ride our luck with the deflection, got to get him back into the game, and then just sort of went, all right, well, we're back in the game. Let's carry on. Yeah. It's not a good thing, and it is a good thing at the same time. Our ability this season to go behind and then draw it back has been quite good in a lot of games, really. I think with QPR, you've got Norwich. I'm trying to think of other wins now. Did we go behind?
Yeah, Rotherham goal down, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably others that I'm forgetting where we've actually sort of gone behind. Yeah. Well, Preston, even though we lost overall, they took the lead. We nicked it back, and then
Ipswich first game of the season, we should have really nicked the draw for how well we played towards the latter stages. Those 12-minute stoppage time that we got towards it.
Oh yeah, when that was a thing for 3 weeks, and then they've just suddenly forgotten about it. Like referees and their rules, man. I mean, I know we haven't been on for a while. I still need to mention, I think from my one, because I had to listen to our stuff and I had listened to a lot of the Borough stuff. That referee was absolutely hideous in the Borough game. On both sides, I'm not going to sit here and sort of say it was just against us. Isaiah Jones got a yellow card for perfectly tackling the Sunderland player through on goal. They should have had a penalty early on when 09 just shoved Crooks over for no reason whatsoever. What was the one? So Dan Neil gets sent off for swearing. I won't say at the ref because it wasn't at the ref.
Dan Neil, potty mouth Neil.
Yeah, yes, but then Trey Hugh right next to him is shouting effing and jeffing at the linesman who doesn't get any card for it. Ballard in the 90th minute actually says to the referee, "You're effing shit, you." He's on a yellow card and doesn't get a second yellow. And I'm sitting there going, just be consistent, mate. And then the Leicester game, the referee in his report at the end said, I didn't think it was a penalty because the Sunderland players didn't protest too much. And it's like, yeah, because the last time we protested, you sent one of them off.
With Ballard, right, you've got dads who sit in the Roker end covering their sons' ears because you can hear Ballard literally effing and blinding all the time.
And it was just like, I'm sitting there going, how can you say because they didn't protest too much? Oh, it mustn't be true. And then it's like, there's a reason we didn't protest because the last time he asked you for something, you gave him a second yellow card and sent him off. Like, you can't be going, oh, it's all right. And then the handball at Stoke, I think it's a handball, but I can see why when they're saying it's on the shirt line and it's...
It was like something I've watched from, remember Space Jam, that film in the 90s?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. It reminds, honestly, like the most blatant handball in the world.
I know. And it's been like a catalogue of errors, really. And then, I mean, I can't sit there and then say, though, what the Borough second goal, he skinned whoever it was at left back or left wing, and then just no one came to him, and all four of the defenders sat in the middle, and yet all of our players were in our own half. They still had two in their half, and they were still finding their man. And it was like, how are you doing this? Like, where are you all? Like, it was
each goal that Borough scored that game. It felt like after each one we had a man less on the pitch.
Yeah,
after every single character.
It's the first ever time, or in a long time, in memory anyway, I've actually felt like we don't have the same amount of players. You know, sometimes when you go down to 10 men, they rally a bit and everyone fills in and does it. I remember sitting there just going, where the hell are you? Where the hell are you? Like, where's the gap? Because apparently it's fucking everywhere. Like, what's going on here? Sorry, we're allowed to swear once or twice.
Like, it's that game when we were in the Premier League 4-0 down at home to Villa. Half-time, Seth Larson's on the pod.
Yeah.
He comes on 5 minutes into the second half.
I remember that when the whole ground empty, didn't it, at half time? Unbelievable. But the referees just not getting any better. I mean, I laughed. I was watching the one match at the weekend, one of the Premier League games, and actually the Borough ref, was it Gillard? He was actually on VAR in one of the Premier League games at the weekend. I was like, dear me. So you do shit in your job and they promote you?
It's I just don't get it at all with the refs. And then you've got, what was it? I don't know if any of you watched the Man City United game yesterday. That penalty that was given. Yeah. And he's got his arm around him, which, okay, you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're going to give that, we're going to get about 10 or 12 penalties a game. And 4 weeks ago, Man United did that against Arsenal, and they didn't get a penalty for it. And it's just like...
I was thinking, imagine if VAR was knocking about when Pulis first brought that Stoke team up at the beginning of the decade.
Every goal would be disallowed, wouldn't it?
Imagine
the game would like carrying on till like 8-9 o'clock at night.
There'd be some sort of... Do you remember that time when they went banned towels and they just started stitching them into their shirt, though? There'll be something like where they'll set it up and the pitch will actually be on like a sort of optical illusion or something so that you can still get wins, and it just be like, what's going on here?
It's getting him beyond the joke, but I don't know how do you fix it? There isn't really an answer, is there? You know,
I'm glad Conrad mentioned that. Have you not, like, we're meant to have, was it the rule at the beginning of the season, balls on a cone by the side of the pitch? It feels like I can't tell the difference, to be honest. No. Like the Stadium of Light, especially. The
cone thing can breed the most beautiful bit of unsportsmanlike cheating I've ever seen. Where I don't know if you've seen the ones where, like, the goalie rushes out and heads it clear into the stand, but their play is really clever and goes and picks one up off the cone. So the goalie just like throws on another ball from the side or something. It's like the most beautiful shithousery you can see, and like even if it's against you, you've got to sit there and go, That's so good. Like, just to be, I want more Chris Maguire isms in the game where you're just there just to wind somebody up in the middle of it. Like, it'd just be so much more fun. It's funny but not funny. You know, really. You now get into games just worrying what the ref's going to do if the ref's going to screw you over. You know, it all seems to be. Well, I know people are calling for VAR in our league. It's the one thing I like, that if it goes in, they look to the side at the linesman, and if he ain't got his flag up, you go, it's a goal. Like, there's no messing about or anything like that. I'm not against VAR. I just, until you get it right, you can't sit there and go, oh, we need it in. It's like, well, fix it first, then we'll talk about it.
I just think they use it for too many things. You know, they should only use it for certain things. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's just a farce.
It's like it's the younger generation in the crowd who are like nudging the older people. Like, why is that not being given? Why is that not? I'm confused. Why the scoreline's not added to the board above my head here?
But that was at the start of the season when they went, right, 13 minutes of added time and this, that, and they were stopping the play. And then a couple of pundits or ex-pros were like, it's ridiculous, this 15, 20 minutes added onto a game. It's stupid. Next week, 3 minutes added on again. You were like, well, the ball's been in play the exact same amount of time in this game. What are we doing here?
Yeah, at Leicester, it was the end of the Leicester game. It was like 5. And I'm pretty sure there was like Dan Neil was down with cramp for at least 2.5.
About 7 substitutions.
Yeah, there was another injury as well to a Leicester player. I mean, it might have been Ian Atcho, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, something like only 5 went up. I'm like, did they time this properly or what? I don't get it.
I think they've just gone back to the old way, hasn't they? They did it for a couple of weeks. Bollocks! It's not working. We've just gone back to the way ours has been.
Is that how they done it in the World Cup, though, wasn't it?
I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. I actually felt like, all right, well, you can't say they didn't add on the time that was wasted. Do you know what I mean? And it, even when, I don't know, people think it was all to do with Newcastle because of their anti-football sometimes, but it's not really. Any club who's protecting a 1-goal lead does it. But at least you felt like at the end, at the end of a game when someone's been absolutely League One for us, every game you were sitting there going, all right, God, like, just add on the time. Like, they're taking the mickey with time wasting. They'd go 2 minutes, and you'd be like, what's going on here? It should have been like another half to play. But
I remember there was that game in the Premier League earlier, and I think it was Tottenham Sheffield United, where was it Heckingbottom was proper kicking off about it.
I do know what you mean.
I think in the manager's defence, they say when a goalkeeper takes his time because they judge how the opposition shape up for like a set piece being taken, where their key men who are strong in the air are placed on the pitch, so the keeper has to change his mind again of where he's going to kick the ball. That's his excuse, but then at the same time, it shouldn't take that long, if you know what I mean.
It's just daft, all of it. But anyway, that's a lot on referees so far.
But I mean, getting back just before we finish on that, now Norwich with time waste, that's about 15 minutes on Saturday. It just shows you how times have changed. When this time last year, I think they had just been relegated from the Premier League, and they were one of the teams that we were thinking, this is going to be a tough game, and another season down the line, and I think they're about 15 now, I think. So
they had Josh Sargent missing, but at the same time they looked pretty, other than a few sniffs they had in the first half, they looked pretty poor, to be honest.
Yeah, they looked a shadow of what they used to be for a sort of upper tier championship team and a lower relegation fodder Premier League team. But it was you're right. They played us last year and they won 1-0, and they sort of
we battered
Cardiff.
Yeah,
they did a Cardiff, didn't they? They just turned up, held, and then nicked a chance at the end. And then, but I can't say we did any different when we went to Carrow Road last year and with no strikers, and Barr scored one from outside the box, and we just we played our football without really having a lot of clear-cut chances. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
What was your thoughts on Bushin at the weekend? I thought he did quite well. Like he looked like a centre forward for a change.
Well, no, I think the first 45, it looked like he started the game playing up top, but then he sort of drifted to the right hand side, like making the runs down the channels when we were on the counter attack. So we're still, even though it's said on the formation on various outlets that he was starting up front, we sort of used him more as like a false nine, as we have been doing whoever's up there the past couple of months.
No.
Yeah, it's what we seem to do, Burstow and Roos, and it sort of helps keep some consistency, I think, for the midfield, if they know where, no matter who it is, they're going to play like that, which is, I think, why they have an issue when Hamir comes on, because he plays completely different.
We have to change our game, yeah.
Yeah, because he's not that type of player. I want Hamir to be someone that, like, in a total football scenario of like Johan Cruyff, we play through him to get through to the other ones. But I don't think he's that. I think he's very much a very early onset target man, and that's what he's got that laziness of Kenwyne Jones after his injury, where he just doesn't want to jump for the balls unless he's like free, if you know what I mean. Like
he's going to win it. Right?
Yeah,
there's a player in there somewhere, but he's just still on his feet. What summed him up was that chance against Southampton. Well, I think we were 5-0 up at the time, but it was clean through. He put it straight at the keeper. Didn't he?
Well, he against QPR the week afterwards, he missed a fairly simple chance at 2 or 3-1 at that point as well. I felt a bit sorry for him when Jack Clark won the penalty against Norwich because he was literally free, 6-yard box, just screaming, "Pass me the ball." And I actually felt a bit like, well, I know this. Hopefully, this goes in and we wrap it up, but just pass it to him, please.
Well, I was wanting Jack Clark to give him the penalty just to try and get him off the mark. I mean, he had a chance. Was it just after that now where he skied it out with the bar? He's had chances in every game, but.
But yeah, in pre-season, I know you can't count pre-season, they all knew to lift the crosses high up to the back post, and he was winning headers every single game. And yet I haven't seen him do that once during the season. It's like we almost went, right, that's how he plays. Find him like that against these lesser teams. We all went, oh, great, cool, let's do that. And we did. And he even did it against Mallorca,
that's
the league, top 10 La Liga side. And you sort of go, okay, great. So he's clearly good at it. Don't cross to him anymore.
No, that's not the way we play.
Well, like that Stoke game would have suited him more because we don't do enough to like suit our style compared to the opposition we're playing. Sometimes in order to get a result, we have to match that a little bit. I think we didn't do that enough. That chance I was going to ask you guys, the one that Ashish missed second half. If you reverse the roles round, if Hamir was in that position, would that end up in the net?
I don't know. He's an idea.
Judging on this season, probably not.
Probably not. I think that the Southampton one, like you said, he's through one goal. There isn't any pressure. We're winning 5-0. And I think Connor, was it you that was saying at the time you had no confidence in him anyway when he's running through. You just knew he was going to miss.
And instead of it being like a "come on, lad, you're going to do it," we all went, "Oh, please!" Like you were more hoping for him rather than the game. Like, I mean, imagine if it had been like 0-0 and that had happened. It's because Altidore had moments like that where he just couldn't quite score, but you'd always either won the game or the game was already gone. And then he had that one against West Ham where he at half time where he just stood on the ball on the goal line and missed. And just I remember everyone. I was like, because they blew the whistle. And everyone was just like head on hands, like as he's like slowly trotting off the pitch.
Do you remember Josie's debut? People thought, "Wow, this kid's going to bang in at least." Considering we got him, I think it was around 8 million. Well, I think the deal would come to 8 million eventually. He scored about 24, 25 for AC Alkmaar the previous season. American international. I was there that day against Fulham when he made his first start. We didn't score, but we were the better team. Absolutely battered them all over. Somehow got beat 1-0.
One chance for Fulham.
Yeah, it was. I think second half he was brilliant at holding the ball up. I think he missed a chance where I think he had his back to goal turned and just put it over the bar. But I thought from that performance, he's going to be our knight in shining armour up front this season. But how wrong was I?
Well, he had all the characteristics to be a great Premier League striker. Like
Lukaku.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, he seems like he would be exactly what Lukaku is. Back into strikers. He's rapid as well when you need him to be. He's good in the air. Yeah, he just did not finish when it mattered, and that was the problem. And maybe that's the Hamir thing, that it's just like, but he's young, I suppose.
His goal. Josie's goal, he did. I think it was his only Prem goal was against Chelsea. That's what we thought we would have bought as the season, where he would have scored goals like that against Chelsea, but with his back to goal, just firing it in.
Sure, did he scored in the League Cup as well, didn't he? Or am I making that up?
He
did. I think he scored. So I seem to remember another goal in that one. I was like, I'm sure he did. It's a bit like the John Stead. It's like the Loch Ness Monster, if you can remember when he scored a goal or something like that. Who did he
didn't score? Did he score against in the cup run we had that season? We played MK Dons with 2 down and we won 4-2.
He did,
Whoever he scored in that.
Yeah, I think he did score. Yes, he went through on goal and scored in that one. And I think he assisted 2 or 3 times in that campaign. I'm sure he assisted Larsson's the second goal against Southampton away. At home, sorry. Did he assist against Chelsea, I want to say? No, it was Barini took it down or something for Key, didn't he?
Yeah, in the quarterfinal, because I don't remember him being involved in the semis at all in both legs.
He did play at Old Trafford because I was at the game. He definitely came on.
Did he come on? Yeah, he came on in the second. That's it. But he didn't play.
He came on, but he'd gone off by the time penalties came round. I think because I'm sure it was Altidore and
Gus didn't want him taking one. That's why.
To be honest, mate, none of them should have taken them. That was the lowest scoring penalty shootout, 3 out of 10. For including both teams, it was just a horrific day.
Do you think then there's like a curse on our centre forwards? Do you think centre forwards?
It's like the Chelsea curse for the number 9.
Why? So we've had. I mean, if you think over the last few years, centre forwards everywhere they've been have scored goals. Altidore, Will Grigg, Danny Graham, all scored goals before they came here. So is it us or is it?
I don't believe in superstitious nonsense, to be honest. I think it's just bad luck of the draw.
It does seem that way because it always seems to be a striker we get is never what they should be or what we think they're going to be. And if you think back to any striker that we have fondly remembered, they sort of came here with almost, it doesn't matter. Apart from like Defoe. Yeah, it was like, so Charlie White came in and we all went, who the hell's he? We've got Josh Madger. And it took him 2 years to actually start playing. Ross Stewart, everyone went, who's he? Just lanky. He's got 2 in like the first 6 months. And then he was player of the season, arguably, for 2 seasons, admittedly injured for half of one of them. But like the goals he scored when he played really helped push us on. I'm going back further into the Championship, but like you say, Will Grigg, nothing.
Well, even before we got Grigg, he had that one season before the Euros in France where he bagged them in for fun, but I don't remember him
he had
doing
2
much
seasons for Wigan, so he did it twice. He did it 1 year and he did it MK Dons, and then he went to Wigan, got them promoted, did nothing, went back down with Wigan, did it again, and got them promoted, and that was when we bought him. Because they every time they went up with him, they tried to move on from him because they knew he wasn't at that level.
Because after that brilliant scoring season at Wigan, all I remember from him was just injury after injury. He'd come back, go on a good scoring run, then go on a dip again.
Didn't he score in the cup against Man City one year? Didn't he?
Yes. They beat Man United
as well. They beat them 4-0 with MK Dons.
So MK Dons he scored against Man United, and you're right. Wigan beat Man City the year after they won the FA Cup against me. Yeah, that one. Kyle Walker let the ball roll off of him and then didn't realise Will Grigg was behind him. Will Grigg ran on, still slotted one in the far corner from like 25 yards and then just didn't celebrate. It's like, that just scored.
That game.
The best team in the country.
That game was on, I don't know if you've watched the Man City documentary.
Yeah.
Pep's absolutely
Fabian Delph sent it off.
Yeah. I think Pep's fuming at Walker in the dressing room, and then you've got Delph going off in a huff of him receiving the red card.
And then Fabian Delph trying to tell Pep Guardiola how he should play football. And he's sitting there going, shut up, mate. Like, shut up. Like, honestly, you shouldn't even be here. Yeah. He was just sitting there going, it's the basics of football. You just got to pass and move. And Pep's looking at him like,
yeah, whatever.
Do you need me? Like, do you know how much they're paying me, mate, to be here?
And getting back to Altidore, obviously the best bit of transfer business ever was probably us swapping Altidore for Defoe.
Yeah, that's it. Defoe's the only one who's come in that has like lived up to the hype, as it were. But even his first 3 months with us, 4 months, he only scored 4. Yeah. Like in that first spell, he got Swansea away on his debut. Obviously, the Newcastle screamer. I'm sure he got Burnley at home, and I can't remember another one. And then the next season, he got 15 with us.
Poirier would only play him like right of a front three because the other two, he played Wickham left, and Fletch would be the main one.
Yeah, and I don't know if he didn't really like Defoe, but Defoe seemed to he scored for us, and then obviously when Advocat came in, he scored maybe 1 or 2 under him, and then when Allardyce came in with his target man route 1 football that he couldn't do, he still found a way to get Defoe 15 goals.
Exactly. I mean,
if you're under David Moyes, the contract agreement that season when you're only allowed to really shoot on sight if you are Jermaine Defoe, basically.
I remember that. So obviously when we stayed up with Sam Allardyce, this is meant to be a podcast about, football happening now. And we're just sort of going back into yeah. We're just living the sort of last of the glory days. So when we stayed up, we had like Kone and Kabul, and everyone went, Kone's absolutely unbelievable. Build a team around him. He's fantastic. And Allardyce had agreed to give him a new deal, basically, if we stay up. So then Allardyce obviously left because of Iceland. And if you go back
Everton
to it, that's all
came calling.
Everton came calling, and he said, I'll do my new deal. And David Moyes went, well, you don't need a new deal. You're on a 4-year deal. And basically pissed him off.
Yeah.
And then he put in 50% of the effort for a season. We got relegated, and he put in 50% of the effort from that one as well. And it's like, we had an absolutely good thing, guys. Like,
well, there's another thing, curse of centre forwards, curse of managers. David Moyes done everything, successful.
And the one time we actually went, sack him and try somebody else to stay up is the one time they didn't. Like every other time they'll jump on a manager.
Moyes was more than happy to take that job because he knew he'd get a decent payout from it.
Oh it was. Yeah. And I think Ellis Short had put on too much, because apparently he tried to get David Moyes the time before, and it's a bit like when we were after O'Neill. We've been after Martin O'Neill since Peter Reid left. It was just Sunderland have this thing where they get a player in mind or a manager in mind, and it doesn't matter what happens or where they go next, they will always still go back for them. Yeah. If you have a look, it's a very little thing. If you watch Sunderland Till I Die season 1, when Martin Bain was going, why am I seeing Ibrahimovic on the bottom of this list here? They have a list of players on the board.
I could name a few who was on that.
We signed them all within the next 4 years. And you're sitting there going like, does someone just not update that every now and again? Or the fact that we had 3 other managers in that time that might not have wanted a Jaria or like Ashley Fletcher or like Oztur. You're sitting there going,
that's a quiz question, isn't it? The players who were on that projector in that board. There was Jordan Much, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I'm pretty sure Saka was on there before he hit his prime.
Jaria was on it, and we did get him. I think Fletcher might have been on it as well. Was Chris Martin at the time? Because we nearly did get him.
He was on the phone to his agent all day, and it didn't go through.
Yeah. He promised to get McCormack. We were after him for years and years, and then we nearly signed him in League One the other season. Or no, the Simon, what's he called?
We signed Grace. He done well the year before. We
tried to get him, and he was there signing. He'd been filmed for the documentary, and then they all went, actually, the deal's fallen through, just don't include this bit. And you're sitting there going, like, you were after him for 4 years. Why do you still stick to the same
Grayson, he said in an interview he had to speak in like past tense. He was doing interviews when he'd already got the sack for that documentary. So.
He shouldn't have been hired. I think it was... I often refer back to this. Once every 3 or 4 months, it's always nice to remember the moment in that documentary where he lined up all the players. And Wayne, you know what I'm on about, where he's got like Rodwell, Kone, Dillaboji, Kazri, basically the Moneyballs at the front. And he's talking on a whiteboard about having a positive mental attitude and how that transcends onto the fans and makes them feel better. And you're sitting going like, oh man, we deserve to get relegated. Like, what's happening here? This is. Please say this was like set up. Like, but apparently it's.
Grayson only. I think Grayson only came in about 3 or 4 weeks before the season kicked off. But didn't we try and get? Was it Derek McGuinness turned it down and he was our number one?
Yeah. And then we went after Coleman a bit later on. Even though Coleman, I really feel sorry for Coleman. One, because I like him, but. If he'd have waited another 3 or 4 weeks, he would have had a Premier League job on offer from like Palace or someone else who was down the line.
We should have really
thinking, I'll get them turned around. Yeah, he jumped because it was after the Wales in the Euros campaign. He hadn't managed anything, and it was almost like he went, I'll go in there, I'll turn it round, get him promoted, and I'll look like the absolute saviour. But it was sitting there going, oh, you ruined it. Just because you came to a club that no matter who went in, that was going to happen. Like it was our time to just plummet through the divisions. And if we got any points that season, it was because of Coleman. Like the Burton game, when I love that Burton game where we grind out a 2-0 win away from home at the end of the game, and I'm sitting there going, "That's him. We've turned a corner here." And then McManaman gets sent off in the next game after 8 minutes for handballing it. And you're like, yeah, and you're like, right, well done, mate. We're at 10 men now. Oh, we've lost 3-0. Great. What a momentum builder there. That was fantastic. And then we started getting rid of players and just signing shitty loans, didn't we? Sorry, we are meant to talk about up-to-date Sunderland, and all I'm doing is moaning about former Sunderland. Should we just call this one episode 4, Have a Moan?
Even though we've won a game at the weekend. I don't know.
One thing I did like, I don't know if you used to watch any of the Saturday Social on Sky Sports. They put the clips up on YouTube. They had a City and a United fan on this week for obvious reasons, and they were talking about Haaland and Alvarez. And even the Man City fan went, we could play them both up top, little and large, like the good old days, like Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn. And even I went, oh, people remember us, like just for something like that. It's just so, I'm just like, oh, and then I don't know if Rory Jennings is often on it, and he goes like, if we talk about the greatest ever Premier League striker, it's got to be Henry or Shearer or Kane. But if we're talking about from a single season, it's Kevin Phillips. And you're sitting there going, yes, Rory, it is.
Premier League strikers now, you get the impression like they just want all the limelight to be on them. You know what I mean? Like they don't want a part. It's now just like wingers playing off them in a free up top. It's never like a classic centre-forward partnership, or very rarely. I bet Haaland and Alvarez have like mini spats with each other off the pitch about who's better.
I miss actual wingers like David Beckham, like someone who just sits in that sort of final third, but he can just swing the ball in for anyone else who's charging in on this to win a header. Like
Somerby, Nick Somerby, Alan Johnson, wingers,
actual wingers, Jeff
Andy
Whitley,
Reid.
That's not one. I'm just saying
Andy
names
Reid.
now. Andy Reid, yeah.
Wand of a left foot.
Yeah, Andy Reid. But those were the days.
Anyway.
Right, half an hour in, and we're not talking about anything this week.
Yeah, so obviously,
Do we have to? I prefer the older days.
Before Saturday, there was quite a bit on social media, wasn't there, about Tony Mowbray being under pressure, potentially, people wanting him out. I mean, crackers in it. Was he really under any pressure?
I don't know. Who would he swap with, Bowie or Freddie Mercury?
I think it was because of the fact that there was, a load of sackings in the Championship, managerial sackings this weekend. Just gone. I know Ainsworth, QPR were right in the mire, weren't they? But was it
Millwall
Pearson got sacked by Bristol?
Yeah, Pearson. Millwall sacked their manager. Birmingham sacked Eustace, even though he was doing well.
He'll be back. He'll take one of the jobs that's vacant now, I reckon.
Yeah, it'd probably someone like Bristol City, I would have thought he would go for. And and Norwich probably won't be far behind with, is it Fark? No, it's Wagner, isn't it? Fark's at Leeds. Yeah.
Not the X Factor geezer.
No, although that would be quite humorous. It'd probably be just good. Probably got the same amount of points. I don't think he was under pressure. I think if we'd have lost to Norwich as well, then you start to go, okay, like I know we've had some decisions against us and it's a bit of a tricky run. But is there something more to this? Because even last season, did we ever lose 4 on the spin? I don't think we did. We might have lost 2 or 3 maybe. But it seemed to be last year we sort of doing a similar thing, because last year I seem to remember we lost a couple, but then we'd beat like Huddersfield away and we'd be back in it and win another game, and then we'd lose another one, maybe draw one, and then we'd pick up we always seem to be just able to get something out of a random game. And we seem to do that this season as well, but I don't know. Maybe we're still. I can't think of what I'm trying to say, Wayne. It's like I've had 8 pints already. Yeah. Is baby brain a thing for men, even though they're 2 years old?
Go for it.
I don't know. We're still in touching distance of the playoffs and everything. It's all still very tight, and we'll have days where we will lose games. But I think it just felt awkward that we played Borough and got screwed, and then didn't help ourselves. Stoke, where you sort of think, hang on, that's not right. Leicester, who are the best team in this league, and we've given them the best game they had, and only narrowly lost. But I don't know. I'm just talking shit now.
No, you're right. I just think I saw some things on social media like during the week saying, at the start of the season when the board wanted this new younger manager in, that only kept Tony Mowbray because of the good season that he had last year and couldn't really get rid of him. So, at the first opportunity, will they look to replace him with this new younger coach that they're trying to get?
You were on about that, Jacob. What was that? The meeting?
Yeah, he's at Nice at the minute, and they're second in League One.
The guy they're on about, though, I'm sure they asked Speakman, KLD, and the lot when they were at that meeting the other week, and they said the amount of speculation that we get and receiving that we can't comment on every single bit that's out there. And to do
Francesco Ferroli, that's his name.
Yeah. And it might feel wrong if they suddenly came out of nowhere just going, we're not doing that for Mowbray. Like it's this, that, and the other, but yet they're keeping quiet on Ross Stewart's contract at the time or Patrick Roberts' deal, and you're a bit like, what's going on? I mean, again, I know there's
Fabrizio Romano. 90% of the things he reports are normally accurate. The Italian.
Yeah. I don't dispute that we probably did look, because I don't think they wanted Mowbray to do as well as they're not going to turn down success, but I think he was never their long-term vision. He was a sort of like, who can we get a steady pair of hands now that Alex Neil's left us in the middle of nowhere, and where do we go next? And it turned out to be everyone likes Tony Mowbray.
Yeah. But it wasn't a fixed-term deal, was it? It was like a rolling type contract.
Exactly, yeah. And I think we did obviously renew, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, obviously he's still here, but I mean,
it got triggered because of where we finished.
Oh yes, is that story that Jack Clark said congratulations, and he went about what? Yeah, that bit to me makes sense that they wouldn't even know. But that goes back to the Stuart Donald days, and I know we don't like to mention them. That he was all about us having the power over the players and the manager, rather than it being the other, like the Josh Madger situations, where you can just go, I'll sign the deal. Gets to January and sods off. Whereas now we can do that to players where it's like they go, well, I'll leave next summer. And we're like, that's what you think. Another year, bang. And you just sort of protect yourself that little bit more. It's the right thing to do.
Just the way of football now, and it's like
you've got to protect yourself all the way through it. And it's a bit like the Ross Stewart sale. I know we look at it now and go, thanks for the 10 mil and the 3 points. We will be on the receiving end of something that will come the other way, I'm sure, when he scores a hat-trick at St. Mary's later on in the season against us. But it's the right thing to do at the right time. He hasn't played for almost half a year, probably more than half a year. It's not an injury that you come back from in the same way, and is very common to do again. You were offered 10 mil with 8 months left on his deal. It was the right thing to do.
And I think that's kind of what Speakman and KLD said at the meeting, didn't they? Because of his injury, was the best deal for everybody concerned. So,
I know it's a bit different to talk about some other players, but like Salah last season, or Aubameyang at Arsenal, or players that when they finally get the club to bend to their will and get all this money, then don't perform for a year. And I know Salah's performing now. I'm not sitting there saying that. But last season, when you look at Salah's numbers after he got that deal, they were shocking. Compared to his normal levels. He was still good, but like they were not the same.
We have a history of when we give players a new contract, their form instantly dips.
Yeah.
But I know he had, I think Gooch signed a new deal in League One and he started playing really, really poor. But I think also, obviously apologies that he had, I think, didn't he just have a kid in that period? And people were...
Yeah, look, I'm living proof, mate. It happens. And I don't have to go about and run about and do 90 minutes. Oh, speaking of, though, every now and again, I was playing 7-a-side the other day, lads, and you'll love this. I completely air kicked, and I didn't fall over, but it was a quality chance. So I'm in the sort of Salah position. I've made my way up from centre back because I don't like to go anywhere really, and I'm screaming for the ball. Like the striker's got it's penalty spot, and I'm free. And I'm just going, give it. He passes it over to me, but he doesn't quite put enough on it. It's very slow, so I have to now adjust and run back. So I'm right-footed anyway, so I'm swinging my left peg at it. As I'm stepping towards it, shovel the ball, completely air kick, almost.
It's basically Danny Graham with no hair, isn't it?
Yeah, full on. And the thing is, as well, when I play five-side, if I get a bit bored, I'm a bit like Rudiger. I start just shouting stuff during the match, like, "Hey lads, these are shit," and we're losing 6-0. Just something like, or like taking the piss out of their striker who misses or something like that. So I ran up front, air kicked. It went out for a goal kick, and I just sort of had to like slowly like waddle back to my centre back's position with everyone. I'm just like, sorry lads, sorry. It happens to the best of us. So I feel for Premier League strikers, because when players like me miss chances, it's not easy.
It's not an easy job. Not an easy job.
No, definitely not.
Anyway, before we finish, on to Swansea at the weekend, and so again, not going to be an easy game against them. They're playing some decent football. They beat Blackburn at the weekend. So, do we keep the run going? Do you think?
I'm just looking up last year's one. You go, Jacob.
To be honest, I'm confident. I mean, I wasn't the fact, and it was mentioned by James Copley today that it was a mistake. They thought Ballard had picked up his 5th yellow, but he can play now. It turns out it was Equa, wasn't it? But Ballard is still only 1 yellow away. And 09 as well.
Walk on 4.
Fan-bloody-tastic, eh? Let's have a look. So we lost 3-1 to Swansea last year, apparently.
Russell Mark
2-1. I know 2-1 at their place, and then we got beat 3-1.
3-1.
09 got sent off in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's when we should have had a penalty.
Oh yeah,
09 wiped that bloke out, didn't he?
And it was like he wasn't on a yellow card or anything. It was just he tripped him up in the centre circle and they went straight red. Yes, it was the Max Power-esque sort of red card for a tactical foul. But I think he did clatter him, didn't he, for a specific reason of, I'm going to get a yellow and that should have been a penalty. And it was like, I remember that.
We never normally play well against Swansea. I don't remember.
Trying to think if we ever.
I remember performances we had against them.
We beat them with. I'm going back in time here. So Sessegnon and Gardner, when they scored those 2 screamers at the stadium, are like one.
Rodgers was saying we battered them in terms of possession.
Yeah,
in his interview,
in terms of goals, though, did you?
No.
I remember Poyet's 4-0 loss, and then we lost 3-1 to them at the end of the season, but it didn't matter because we'd already stayed up at that point.
We beat them 4-2, but I don't think we played as well, even though we...
Defoe's hat-trick, yes. Defoe's hat-trick. Is he the
we didn't need to... Swansea were very poor that season, to be fair.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is it's going to be shit. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, yeah.
Our record at the Liberty's trash, mate.
Yeah,
I don't think we've won that.
Here. The last time we won was the 4-2.
Yeah, the 4-2.
And that was in 2016, I'm looking here. The last time we beat them in general before that was in 2012 when we won 2-0 at home, Gardner and Sessegnon. The last time before that, were you even alive, Wayne? 1964.
No, I wasn't. No.
No.
That was the last.
But Swansea were very far down the pyramid at that point. Of course, they were the first ones that.
When we had Mick in charge, were they in the 3rd tier then? Wasn't it?
I guess so, because they weren't in the Championship with us when they played back then. It was it jumps from it's 1983 and then it jumps to 2011. That's the big sort of time between us playing them. So there's we were in the Premier League at that point.
So it's going to be a tough game, isn't it?
But with the way I'm more optimistic, because I think in terms of the opposition we play, if they play a similar way to what we do, because Swansea have always been the Swansea ways, like possession football, isn't it? That normally brings the best out of our players. So I think it will be a good game.
We normally do well when we play the better teams, like you're saying, don't we, Jacob? Apart from, unless someone actually sets up to just frustrate us, which we still, after years and years of doing it, have not found a way of dealing with. We tend to play quite well. So like Leicester the other day, they had a few chances and Patterson had to make some saves, but we were more than equal to them on the night and a threat for them, which I think is what will be on Saturday. It'll just be, can we carry on? I'd give Bellingham a rest. This is the first time we spoke about players and we're 44 minutes in. I think I'd give Bellingham a rest because he looks shattered and he's just the last couple of games haven't been the best from him, and he's 18 years old. Kid deserves a bit of a break at this point.
We do lack quality in the middle though, with him not in the side right now. That's hence why on deadline day, I mean, there's rumours knocking about that we were close to getting a midfielder over the line, another one. but it fell through. But
so Pritchard will, what do you reckon, sit in that position? You're playing Neil and Ekwar in the middle.
Yeah, it's probably the most wise decision, I'd say.
Yeah, and then you have Clark, Roberts, and probably Rusin still, I would say. Just because he ran in the channels, he freed up space for the attacking midfielders. It was a bit like the Geldhart towards the tail end of his loan last season, where you were like, you're not here to score. You're here to cause a problem for their defenders to free up the rest of the space for our team. Because, no offence, mate, you can't score. I don't even think he's playing for Leeds at the minute, isn't he? Is he injured or is
not getting a game at least?
And
you noticed also the fact, was it Pritchard this season? Whenever Pritchard, even his career, I've got a mate who's a Huddersfield fan. Whenever he's under threat of not being offered a new deal, he will start playing well. I think because he knows. I thought Percy was out of contract in the summer, hence why we brought Dak in. But I think, didn't we offer?
I think he is out of contract.
He is. I got it wrong. He's out of contract next summer.
Next summer.
Yeah, but he knows now he has to work his socks off to get.
It was him, Gooch, and Bath that were the three, and they said, we're not renewing any of your deals, so find another club if you want. So Gooch did, Bath did, and Pritchard. At the last minute we held on to, didn't we?
It doesn't make sense bringing in. It doesn't make sense bringing in Dak and then only giving him 1 year, because Dak, I thought Dak was the player to ideally replace Pritchard in that team, but we only give him one. I think the club looked at his injury record and think, no, we're not giving you.
Yeah, that's probably it on Dak. It was a case of, you don't play that many games. We're not doing what we did of old and gone 4-year deal for Jack Rodwell when you've not played football in 2 years. Like, I think they're being very smart, and it probably has an option of we'll extend for another year if we choose to, not him. And so far, you're sitting there going, 1 goal, you've not played a lot. You know,
it staggers me that, because Pritchard wasn't involved at all the first 3 games. I think he was coming off the bench. Yeah. That considering he had 1 more year left, that another championship team didn't come in. But I think it's because apparently at Huddersfield, even when they dropped down and got relegated, he was still on 55 grand a week.
Wow.
Yeah, he is definitely, I still think, one of the higher earners at the club.
Oh, he will be, and he will have. We will have paid a lot of like
League One
wages to get him down for the division, because he didn't have to drop down to us. It wasn't like, it was a bit like when that January, I remember we turned up and we were like, we've got Patrick Roberts and Pritchard, or Pritchard might have been earlier on in the summer, and you were just like, geez, how have we got these two? And then you sort of went, Aidan McGeady's retiring, he can't do it anymore. Pritchard's a change, right? Okay, Pritchard's coming to the end of his career. He's like 32, but he's coming to the end of his deal with us, where we would want to keep him. Dak's your next one, but we don't quite trust Dak yet. So let's see how we go on. But like you said, Jake, we're probably just announcing to the world that next year we need an attacking midfielder.
Yeah,
I mean that position next year, because the way how Neil is going right now, he's on track to be going to a Premier League team.
100%. I think if even January, if we're not anywhere near the playoffs, I think come January we could Neil, Jack Clark.
It's so tight in the Championship. We're going to be near the playoffs regardless. I think you could be down in 15th and you're 2 wins away from being in them probably. It's going to be another one of those seasons like last year, where on the final day there's 8 teams that could all fit in there. Annoyingly, I know I said earlier on in the season they'll slip. It looks like Leicester just will not slip. No. And it doesn't matter if they slip 2 games in a row. They're still that far ahead. Ipswich, they seem to be absolutely flying.
I don't think that will last the whole season.
I don't think so. But I still think if they end up in the top 6, a bit like what we did last season, it's a problem for whoever they're playing, because they can just beat anybody, a bit like us last season. But we ran out of physical players at the end of last season. That is what cost us. We had no one left above 5'5",
But that's one thing I will say about Ipswich. I mean, I know obviously it happened to Luton. They lost Nathan Jones. So Rob Edwards came in. Obviously, it had no effect on them at all, really. I don't think
better, if anything.
I don't think McKenna will be there in the coming months. I think
he'll get a Premier League offer, I was surprised he didn't get the Rangers offer. Really, when they
are they still without a manager?
No, they did bring some. They brought somebody in. I don't know who it is.
We'll probably be having one season and then see you later. The way how it works.
Also, in the Championship as well now, the teams who came down, the likes of Leeds and Southampton, have also started going a bit of a run now. They're now 3rd and 4th.
Southampton, like I've said from the start, and I said before, Southampton will have peaks and troughs because all they do is attack you at full force. So they'll find somebody else who'll batter them 5-0. They'll lose a couple of games, and then they will eke out 2-1. Like I think the other day they only scored in the last minute and beat Hull or somewhere, and you're sitting there going, it's because every one of your players is in their half. Like, you're going to get caught out. Look at us. We scored 5 past you, and it could have been 10. Like Leeds sort of, what was it they did the other day? Last minute winner, and then they lost to someone fairly crap. Like,
I still, even though Leeds, like, they've lost a few key players, they've still got a strong foundation to work. And I think if they're going to go up, it'll purely be down to the manager they've got. He's a promotion-winning manager, Farke, even with not the best.
He was the manager I wanted when we got Alex Neil, but it was that sort of, he's too good to drop down to our division at that point because he just left Norwich. So it was one of those that was, I honestly thought maybe we'd get him when Neil left. And if we weren't in the middle of a season, we might have tried our arm at him, but hey.
Yeah, we might have had Ange Postecoglou apparently a few years ago. Michael Bridges
might have had Ibrahimovic, at certain points as well.
Michael Bridges tried to get him.
Virgil van Dijk at the back.
Virgil van Dijk was the one eye. Who knows? Anyway, on that note, it's that time.
A moan, a walk through history, nothing really about current Sunderland.
Yeah,
what a show for you guys.
Waste of 55 minutes.
No, it's been good crack, really good.
It's good fun. Tune in for Thursday if you want actual insight. This is just a nice chat.
Yeah, so we'll have Thursday Night Live where we'll be reviewing the games that just gone past and looking ahead to Swansea a bit more in depth as well. But until the next one, do you want to see it to us?
I'll let you go last, Jacob, because you have a good sign-off line. So thanks for listening, everyone. Sorry I'm half asleep and we didn't actually talk about anything proper at all. But we'll see you next week for more of the same.
Over to you, Jacob, last but not least.
As I always say, keep the faith.
Keep the faith. We'll see you later.